Today I'm delighted to meet Stefan Cohrs. Stefan has more than 25 years customer-facing business experience, starting at ALD Automotive, a division of Société Générale, then Arval BNP Paribas, and the last 5 years as head of the cross-border centre of EOS in Hamburg, Germany. Today's discussion will share observations, especially since March, from the perspective of a debt collection agency.
Well, I guess the main thing is you need experienced staff. You need to have people who are, like you said previously, you need to be empathetic. They need to be alert in a way as well, but they need to ask the right questions. The big jump is actually to be able to use all this plus the Teams and Zooms and whatever there is to actually work remotely and from home.
Good morning, Stefan.
Good morning, Mark.
As head of the cross-border centre, you have a wide horizon. Have you seen any major spikes or unusual trends due to the pandemic compared to previous years?
Well, yeah, sure. A lot of things have spiked or despiked, rather. So if we talk countries and Corona collections, we see that Southern Europe was hit quite hard, mainly because they had rather full lockdowns where you couldn't leave the house at all. Then we had the Central Eastern European region where we had a lot of moratoriums. But globally, we can't talk of a trend as for a single moments because we simply have waves. So in Europe, as we can see, we're sort of loosening up. Southern America is still on the rise. US is a completely different thing in the first place. So that's there's no global thing as such. And regarding the phases of debt collection, where we have the pre-legal phase, that is actually in some countries we don't feel this decline in collections at all. Where even though we may have economic impact, but contactability is fantastic because everybody has to stay home. And we can talk to people both like in B2C where people are just home, or then in B2B where if we talk to the finance people, for example, they tend to have more time these days, and we can get into a better dialogue with them. Problem for sure in all of the countries being hit by Corona is the legal collection, which is dead. Most courts are closed. Post-legal execution offices, bailiffs, they sometimes still work a bit now. Where it's loosening up, it's getting better as well. Because they can't see debtors and stuff. So that is also coming in waves. Just the other stuff. Yeah.
That's an interesting point you make there about the execution side of things, which I think brings me to a question about how do you steer through the moral responsibility? You mentioned there about moratoriums and so on as well. So steer through the moral responsibility and delay collections, or indeed the follow-up processes.
I would say it. The impact of Corona is not that big actually, because we're especially talking about EOS. And if I may, I'll take a little loop there. Our purpose is EOS for a debt-free world, which is obviously not meant literally, because it's our business. But We had a survey, employee survey 2 years ago, where we asked the people, among a lot of other things, why do you come to work each day? So there was like predefined answers like, I need the money, I love to work with my colleagues, I have fun, and there was also one from free field where you could fill in something. And hundreds of colleagues wrote in there, I want to help people get rid of their debts. So and that's regarding the moral point here is, these people who actually, they're agents, they're debt collectors, but they're also people. They want to be treated in a fair and respectful way. And this is how they, this is not only about EOS, this is about debt collection companies with little exceptions, but in general, we are respectful, and we see the people behind these debts. Nobody is in debt for fun, neither a person nor a company or the finance guy who has to allocate cash flow, which may be low. And so we've got this saying in German which translates something like you can't take money of a naked man, because he's got no pockets to put the money into. The only thing is, obviously, if that person is not naked, is not transparent, is not honest, if we're talking to him or her, then we may have to go further. Then we may have to go legal to force him to be open. But overall, I would say this hasn't changed in these pandemic times. That if somebody has no money, you need to find some sort of solution. That's for sure.
That's very true, and you make a very good point there. I think a lot of companies in your industry, people tend to think it's rather aggressive, and but you make a great point there. There's actually, your teams are people, and they are empathetic people contacting other people. And I think that's a very valid point, and something that we should emphasize. That I've always thought debt collection agencies are an essential part of business. As a collections manager myself, it's not a sign of failure. It's not just a cost. It's an essential part of the business. And I've always worked with companies like yours as an equal partner. They understand my business, they understand where we're coming from, why, at what point they get our clients, and so on and so on.
Plus, these debtors we're talking, be it B2B or B2C, in the best case, they'll be clients again. So they may be in a temporary difficult situation, and if be it the in-house collection department or an external collection company, if you sort of scare them off or treat them in an unfair way, you will have lost them as a customer. That's for sure as well.
Oh, absolutely, and I think sort of generally distressed customer aside, a lot of businesses or individuals will hang on to their money as long as possible. Not all companies can be, or customers can be contacted by the selling company. So you're there just enforcing the signed contract and the terms and conditions that were agreed between the two parties. And You're exactly right. It's just in most cases, it's a reminder of contractual obligation, and quite rightly that it's hardly ever the case that you will lose a customer because EOS contact them and remind them to pay. So taking what you were saying just now, and it is incredibly difficult right now, I would anticipate. How do you identify genuinely distressed customers and those that may be taking advantage of the current situation?
Well, I guess the main thing is you need experienced staff. You need to have people who are, like you said previously, you need to be empathetic. They need to be alert in a way as well. But they need to ask the right questions and make make the person in debt, open up and, be as honest as possible. Explain also the situation, talking in B2B accounts, if the usual thing, if one supplier is not paid, he may not able to pay his own supplier or pay his rent, and this might endanger business as well. And if it's just about retaining the money, just to be on the safe side, so to say, that's endangering other companies at the same time. So again, it's about a personal contact, and as much technology as we have these days, and it's good, but at the end of the day, you need to get a feeling for that. I don't think you can actually write a script for that, or have AI learn that quickly when that person is lying to you, or when he's finding out. And at the end of the day, if it's about if it really comes down to I can't pay, then you need technical proof. Which is also the case if we're talking about all these legal regulations that have been introduced in quite a number of countries where you have moratoriums and stuff. You need to prove that you're actually hit by the pandemic, that you lost your job because of Corona and stuff, and then it's clear and fine. That's easier, but that should be, I think, a last resort.
Yes. And just going back a little bit, perhaps, has there been any particular industry sectors, perhaps travel or retail, where you've seen examples of what we've been talking about? Any particular spikes in any particular areas?
Well, the thing is that actually quite a number of companies have actually stopped sending us cases for collections, actually mainly for moral reasons. Of course, only there where they can actually afford this. So we see rather a decrease in business. That utilities is an example for that, telco, and also some e-commerce. We don't get much cases from banks, for example, simply because they are in moratoriums. Some countries, the debt collection companies can't collect, but in some countries only the banks cannot collect. So they have no ground to give us anything. And then in other countries, the definition of a non-performing loan has been redefined. Instead of 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, it's been prolonged, so it doesn't affect companies' balance sheets. And plus, what comes also is that some of the insolvency regulations have been amended to protect also some of the debtors. So at the moment, and we see rather a decrease in cases coming in. But where it's loosening up now, and so let's say next 3, 6, latest 12 months, we will get a lot of business in third-party collections. That's for sure. When all these regulations that I mentioned before will actually be abolished again, so there will be a lot of stuff going on.
So at some point in probably later this year, there'll be like a reset back to how it was pre-March, and then it be kind of more or less back to normal, and then you can.
Well, it will be more. I think that's for sure. If we look at the situations for especially smaller businesses, and we see now, talking B2C, people are in layoffs. You never know how many people will actually get back their full job or their proper job. So we will have defaults in sort of e-commerce and consumption, financing, cars and all that stuff as well, and that will very probably increase.
Okay, and what role do you see technology playing from here and through to the future in all the different areas that you're engaged in?
Yeah, I mean, it will be bigger than ever, technology. So we can see it now. All the stuff that we already started actually only enables us to work remotely as we do. So from simple stuff like all the documents, or more or less all documents, are scanned instead of paper. We have emails and text instead of letters. We have AI in different degrees at different stages. We've got automated dialers, but the big jump is actually to be able to use all this plus the Teams and Zooms and whatever there is to actually work remotely and from home. So talking about EOS. Well, except for the United States, where the lockdown came a bit later, almost all mid-March, almost all 26 EOS countries were sort of sent home. So within a week, we had 70% of our more than 7,000 people at home being able to work, and that is not only with debtors and clients, but also internally. To be honest, I don't think anybody would have thought that this would actually be possible, but it is, and it will definitely also change the way forward, the way we're going to work in that respect. So the corona's impact on digitization is, at least in our industry, tremendous, I would say.
And I thought if one of the main areas I would think from your perspective is just keeping up to date with all your contacts, because you must be making thousands of different arrangements with thousands of different customers, and you need to be able to keep on top of that so you can report back to your clients what the status is of the work that you're doing. Yeah. And that must be hugely complex, and that certainly couldn't be done any other way than without the help of different degrees of technology.
That's correct. Even these days, and even pre-corona, the most successful collection activities were surely, in most countries at least, the phone. I mean, in some countries, we wouldn't even write a letter. If it is allowed. In some countries it isn't, obviously, but the phone is the number one thing to do. We're working like other companies as well on chatbots. And for Germany, for example, we've had the highest incoming payments for our debtor portal, which is online payment stuff. That's been rising also. A big time, and it's of course a generation thing. We've had problems with those people who were not allowed to leave the house and go to the post office or the bank in order to pay in their money. But we've had more people using online banking anyways, or pay their installments or parts of their debts by credit card or PayPal or Klarna, whatever. All these methods of payment that we have these days. Mm-hmm. So that gave a big boost as well, if we include that into technology.
How do you see the next 2 years or beyond from a business perspective or from an economic perspective?
Yeah. Of course, this is a very personal opinion. This is only my little 10 cent. Or 5 cents, or whatever it may be. I think it's going to be challenging. That's for sure. Probably I don't see it as bleak as many other people do. I think as soon as we have a vaccination, or a proper medication against corona, then confidence will grow. We will see less consuming of goods that are not absolutely necessary. Travel will still be slow, I guess, or it will be domestic, which is also not a bad thing. Car sales will, of course, get better, but I mean, they're at a super low time. Then, these people who are producing the cars, they may not have the income they had before. So I think we're facing generally slower or lesser spending, but it will grow. And coming from a low base, they will also grow significantly. Talking about the perspective of a DCA, well, at the same time, of course, the collections are more challenging because of the ability of debtors to pay off parts of their debts. But on the other hand, there is just more debt that needs to be worked on a contingency basis. And at EOS, we're also quite a big invested into debt purchase. So we do buy debts, both B2C and B2B debt, and work them out at our own risk. And there will be, we guess, quite some good opportunities to buy portfolios and work them out properly. And that's the big chance in this. That's for sure.
That's an interesting point you brought up there. And would you think that companies, particularly perhaps bigger corporates, will learn lessons from this period of time, and they will be more stringent about their own internal collection cycles? I mean, I guess the pandemic is what we call a black swan, an unseen situation, but the recession has been coming anyway and predicted for the last couple of years. The pandemic just really kind of triggered it off. And I know a lot of corporates have got quite sizable overdues because they haven't put much focus on it. Do you think that will change?
I guess so, yes. I mean, we can see that, for the last years, a lot of companies changed their processes, for example, into shared service centers and so forth. And another option, of course, is to give away the risk of your remaining overdue accounts that you may not be able to collect. Either let a third party work on them, or just get rid of them. Take it off your balance sheet by just selling them off at a percentage of their nominal value, and leave the risk to somebody else. That's quite an option, and I guess that a number of companies will consider that as another option, something they may not have thought about before.
That's a very good point, and food for thought there. I think I bet a lot of companies obviously are sitting there with a lot of overdues, will be reluctant to just write them off completely. And I think it's a very good point you make, that they're working with EOS, that there is an alternative that, as you said, you can sell it and still collect or get some of it back. Obviously, what that is between yourselves, but I always say some percentage is better than no percentage. Yeah, so
it is. I mean, and that's what most banks are doing on a very regular basis, to sell off their old debt, or even use forward flows and sell fresher debt in order to to improve their balance sheets, and to have to get these ratios that you show to your investors. To make them improve. And we have some customers out of that classic banking, telco, utility region, but I do believe this could be interesting for producers of industry goods, of services even it could be an option as well to get rid of the stuff, because if you're doing the contingency business, you still have work with it, obviously. That's for another thing. And by selling off your debt, I mean you're done with this. And if you put up a proper tender process on this, you may be able to get a good price for it as well.
Interesting points. I think that's a positive area that we can perhaps close on. So it's been really interesting and informative this morning, and thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to sharing this conversation with the wider credit community. So I'll say, Stefan Cohrs, thank you very much indeed, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Mark. It was a pleasure. See ya.